Have you ever felt like a woman was saying one thing with her words and something completely different with her body? The way she looks at you, adjusts her hair, crosses her legs, leans in or pulls back. None of it is random. Most men hear what she says and miss what she's showing. But if you learn to read the hidden signals in her body language, you stop guessing, stop overthinking, and start actually understanding what's going on beneath the surface. Women are masters of subtle communication. A slight touch, a tilt of the head, a quick glance, the way she sits next to you, how long she holds eye contact. These are all quiet messages. Sometimes they show interest, sometimes discomfort, sometimes testing, sometimes deep attraction. The problem is, most guys either ignore them or totally misread them, swinging between delusion and insecurity. But when you understand the psychology behind her body language, you finally start asking, does she like me or am I imagining it? Before we dive into these hidden secrets, think about this. Have you ever walked away from an interaction with a woman and only later thought, wait, was she into me? Drop your story in the comments, especially if you realize too late. You're watching Seductive Wisdom, and in this video we're going to break down the unspoken signals in a woman's body language so you can read attraction, tension, and boundaries without her saying a single word. Eyes that linger. One of the strongest clues in a woman's body language is in her eyes. Not just if she looks at you, but how she looks at you and for how long. A quick glance can be politeness, curiosity, or just awareness of her surroundings. But when her eyes linger a little longer than normal, when she holds eye contact, then looks away with a slight smile or comes back for a second look, that's not random. That's interest testing your awareness. Women rarely make the first move with words, but they often do it with eye contact. Subtle, repeated, and loaded with meaning. It's not about staring contests, it's about micro moments. She might look at you from across the room, look away when your eyes meet, then check again a few seconds later. She might be mid-conversation with someone else, but her eyes keep flickering back to you, almost like she's tracking your presence. Those lingering looks are her way of saying, I see you. Do you see me? Without risking direct rejection. If you never notice, she'll assume you're either not interested or not socially aware enough to pick up on basic signals. You'll also notice how her eyes behave when you're actually talking to her. If she's engaged, attracted, or intrigued, her eye contact will be deeper and more focused. She won't constantly scan the room or keep checking her phone. Instead, her gaze will lock onto you when you speak, and she'll stay there a split second longer than needed. Sometimes her pupils dilate. Sometimes her eyebrows raise slightly when you say something interesting. Sometimes her eyes drop to your lips briefly and then back up. All tiny signs that her attention isn't just casual. The key is not to overanalyze every glance like a conspiracy board, but to notice patterns. One look can be nothing. Lingering eye contact, repeated over time, paired with a slight smile, a head tilt, or her orienting her body in your direction. That's signal, not noise. As a man, your job isn't to stare her down or act creepy, but to meet her eyes calmly. Hold the contact with relaxed confidence. And if it feels mutual, use that as an opening to start a conversation. Her eyes are often the first door she opens. Most guys just never realize she unlocked it. Subtle touch signals. Touch is one of the clearest forms of body language. And when it comes from a woman, it's rarely accidental if it keeps happening. A light touch on your arm when she laughs, a playful shove when she's teasing you, a steadying hand on your shoulder as she walks past. These are all small but important signals. One random touch might mean nothing, but consistent, intentional contact is her way of closing the physical distance without having to say, I want to be closer to you. Pay attention to who initiates and how often. Does she find excuses to touch you in a group, even when there's no logical need? Maybe she brushes something off your shirt, squeezes your arm when she makes a point, or taps your hand when she's laughing. These tiny touches are safe ways for her to test your energy. Does he tense up, pull away, lean in, stay relaxed? She's reading your reaction as much as you're reading hers. Women don't casually touch men they're uncomfortable with. If she's reaching out physically, she's at least somewhat at ease, and possibly attracted. The location and intensity of the touch also matter. Touching the shoulder or arm is light and socially acceptable, common early indicators of comfort and interest. Touching your chest, lower back, or leg is much more intimate and usually reserved for stronger attraction or a deeper connection. If her touches linger, if her hand stays a bit longer than necessary, or if she uses touch to guide you, like lightly holding your arm as you walk, that's a higher level of physical comfort and closeness. Your job isn't to overreact or pounce the moment she touches you. Stay calm, grounded, and natural. If the vibe feels mutual, you can mirror lightly. A brief touch on her arm when you're joking, a gentle guide with your hand on her back as you move through a crowd. The key is reciprocity, not aggression. Remember, subtle touch from her is a language. If you pretend not to notice it, you'll miss what she's saying. If you respect it and respond with awareness, you move the interaction from neutral to undeniably charged, without saying a single word. Leaning in closer. Leaning in is one of the clearest yet most overlooked signs of interest. When a woman is drawn to you, emotionally or physically, her body naturally wants to be closer. She might shorten the distance between you when you're sitting, angle her chair toward you, or lean in when you speak even if she doesn't technically need to. That's her body saying, I want to be in your space, even if her words are just casual conversation. People don't lean toward what they don't like. They lean toward what they're curious about, comfortable with, or attracted to. Pay attention to the context. If you're in a loud, crowded place, leaning in might simply be practical so she can hear you. But if the room is quiet, she still leans close and stays there. Different story. Notice how her body behaves when you're talking versus when someone else is. Does she sit upright or lean back with others but naturally drift closer when it's just you? Does she angle her knees, hips, or shoulders toward you instead of away? These are all subtle cues that you are the focal point of her attention, not just another person in the room. You'll also see it in micro movements. Maybe she gradually shifts closer over the course of the conversation. First leaning on the table, then resting her elbow near yours, then aligning her body with yours. Maybe she moves things out of the way to close the gap between you. Her bag, her drink, her phone. People rarely think consciously, I'm going to lean toward him to show interest. It's instinctive. When someone feels drawn in, their body literally follows that pull. As a man, your job isn't to freak out or suddenly jump to conclusions, but to calmly register the signal. If she's leaning in, holding eye contact, and seems engaged, you can respond by matching her energy. Speaking a little softer, holding her gaze, asking deeper questions. What you don't do is lean in so aggressively that you invade her space or make her uncomfortable. Remember, leaning in from her is an invitation, not permission to skip all boundaries. Read it, respect it, and let the tension build naturally instead of forcing it. Feet and body direction. One of the most honest parts of body language is something people almost never control consciously. Where their body, especially their feet, is pointing. You might be talking to a woman who's being polite with her words, but if her torso and feet are angled away from you, her body is already trying to leave the interaction. On the other hand, if her feet, knees and hips are pointed toward you, even in a group, that's a strong sign you have her focus. The body naturally orients itself toward what matters most in the moment. In group settings, this becomes even clearer. If several people are talking but her body is slightly turned in your direction, or her feet keep drifting back to face you, she's subconsciously choosing you as the anchor of her attention. Even if she's engaging with others, her posture might stay open toward you. Shoulders squared, chest not blocked by crossed arms, feet pointed your way instead of toward the exit. That alignment is her body's way of keeping you in her frame, even when the conversation is bouncing around. You can also read comfort and discomfort through body direction if she suddenly starts angling away, crossing her arms tightly or pointing her feet toward the door while giving shorter answers. That's usually a sign the vibe has shifted. She's tired, bored, uncomfortable, or ready to go. Ignoring that and pushing harder makes you look socially unaware. On the flip side, if she leans in, aligns her body with yours, and stays oriented toward you even when there are other options in the room, she's not just being polite. She's choosing to stay in your orbit. As a man, start noticing where her body is voting. Words can be filtered, politeness can be faked, but feet and body direction are brutally honest. If her body keeps turning toward you, that's signal. If her body keeps turning away, that's also signal. Adjust accordingly. When she's open, you can deepen the connection. When she's closed off, you back off or redirect. Reading this one detail alone will instantly separate you from guys who only listen to what's said and miss what's being shown right in front of them. Nervous yet interested. One of the most misread signals in a woman's body language is nervousness. A lot of guys think, she's fidgeting, she's awkward, she's avoiding eye contact, so she must not be into me. But often it's the opposite. When a woman is genuinely attracted to you, especially if she's not super confident or used to it, her body might betray her, playing with her hair, adjusting her clothes, touching her neck, fidgeting with a ring or glass, laughing a bit too quickly. That's not always discomfort. Many times it's attraction mixed with self-consciousness. Look at the pattern. Is she nervous but staying? If she were truly uncomfortable or creeped out, she'd try to leave, shut down, or avoid you altogether. But if she's slightly flustered, maybe stumbling on her words, blushing a little, looking away, then back, yet still engaging, asking questions and not walking away, that's a very different signal. Her body is saying, I care how I come across to you. Attraction often makes people a little clumsy. You'll notice nervous yet interested in small ways. She might fix her hair more than usual, adjust her posture when you look at her, straighten her clothes when you walk over, or suddenly get a bit giggly for no strong reason. Her breathing might change slightly, her voice may go a touch higher, or she might talk a little faster. These aren't always signs of anxiety. Many times they're her system reacting to someone she's excited by but not fully relaxed around yet. Your job in this situation is not to mirror her nervousness, but to calm it. You do that by being relaxed, steady, and non-judgmental. Keep your tone calm, your body language open, and your presence grounded. Ask simple, genuine questions. Don't interrogate or overperform. The more emotionally safe she feels, the more her body will shift from tense to comfortable, while the attraction remains. When you can recognize that mix of nerves and interest, you stop assuming she's not into me and start seeing the truth. She might actually like you, and just be hoping you don't notice how obvious it is. Body language is like a second conversation that never stops. And once you learn to read it, you stop living in confusion and mixed signals. A woman's eyes, touch, posture, body direction, and little nervous habits are all sending messages long before she ever says, I like you, or I'm not interested. If this breakdown opened your eyes to things you've been missing, remember the goal isn't to become paranoid or manipulative. It's to become more aware and socially intelligent. I want to hear from you. Which signal have you misread the most in the past? Her eye contact, her touch, her nervousness, or the way her body was facing you? Drop your answer in the comments, and if you've got a story where you realized after the fact that she was into you, share it. Your experience might be the wake-up call another guy needs. And if you actually learned something new here, let me know if you want a part 2 breaking down even more subtle cues. Before you go, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Seductive Wisdom, and share this with a friend who is blind to obvious signals. And if you watched all the way to the end, type Seductive Wisdom in the comments so I know you're one of the ones who actually pays attention, not just to women's words, but to what their bodies are really saying.